Hey everyone, it's Cell from Celljoy here, and it's good to be back with another video. And we're going to be reviewing some of the new features in Logic. It's been a while since we've had this version of Logic, so I know that Apple's been hard at work in putting in some new features in there. Did they give us the features we were actually looking for? A little bit, and maybe not. But they've added some extra things in here in accordance with their vision for where they want to see the platform go. So one of the cool features that they've added is more AI musicians. Now, we've had Logic Drummer for quite some time. Then they added Logic Percussionist, which I thought was just a great addition to really beef up the rhythm section, really make it feel as if the track is moving. Adds lots of different elements in the music to really make it feel like it's popping. So, but they've gone ahead and added an AI bass player, an AI keyboard player as well. So the only thing left to add is really a guitar player. So I know that they're probably hard at work on that. And they've also gone ahead and added the ability to have a chord chart added into the arrange window, which I think is wonderful. So some of these tools are really helpful if you are trying to put together an arrangement for a song, and perhaps teach it to a band or teach it to someone else. So you have some session musicians that need to follow along with the chord chart. They can literally follow along with what's on your screen and be able to play. But not only for regular session musicians, the AI musicians can also follow the same chord chart and be able to jam along with you. And you'll be able to customize how these AI musicians play. You can make them play more simple, more complex, and I'm going to show you some really cool tricks that they added to this. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just try and build a little track from some chord phrases that are in my head. Now, as a musician and an arranger, I may not need all of these tools to work, but I just wanted to see how the AI would respond to a real musician actually playing some chords in some syncopation, and to see how the AI jams with me. Okay, I don't got the fellas in the studio, but let's see what the AI band members can do. Okay, so we're gonna put together a little track and I'll show you how I do it. For today's video, I'm gonna be featuring this keyboard cover from Editor's Keys. It's specifically for Logic Pro for the iPad, and you can get your keyboard cover for your size Magic keyboard case, and you can have that overlaid over your keys. It's a nice piece of silicone that just sits right on top, nice and smooth, and there are some very useful keyboard shortcuts that you can use to access a lot of Logic's functions on the fly. So I'm going to be using some of those in this video. So I'll try to feature that so that you can also get some of these keystrokes to commit them to memory and be able to fly around the session a little bit more. Okay, so let's get started. Now, as a gospel musician myself, one of the first things I want to try and get a feel for is the tempo of what I would like to arrange. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and tap up here on the screen. I can take the mouse and we can tap and bring up our tap tempo. And I love this as a great feature because you could just go ahead and use your finger, and I'm gonna tap in something close to 92, okay? And I'm just going to arrow down here so we can get that fairly accurate, okay? Tap tempo also works with the tap tempo also works with the trackpad. The trackpad is actually halfway decent in picking up rhythmic strokes as well. It's not too shabby at all. So we're going to go ahead and select 92. All right. Now, the first thing I'm going to want to make is a percussion track. Now, as a gospel musician, we like to kind of arrange to something rhythmic, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and hit the plus sign here. And we're going to bring up a session player. But before I just select this, I'm going to select a drummer. Okay. And then under this section here, under pop rock, I'm going to go ahead and pick a percussion player up here. Acoustic drummer. Let's go down to percussionist. Great. Now, let's go with pop. Pop tends to give me some very usable percussion instruments that are usable in most genres. Okay, so let's listen to what that sounds like at 92. Let's see if I like it. I'm just going to stretch this out so I get 8 bars. Okay, good. So one of the first things I'm going to want to do is take out these congas. I don't want those. And I'm also going to add a little swing here. So I'm going to increase my swing to around 60%. Let's see what I get. Good. Okay, I don't think I need that cowbell in there, so I'm going to go ahead and take that out. All right, and we've also got a grid here where it's going to allow, I got a grid here that it will allow me to select some different patterns for where my claps are going to fall. So I like where the claps are, but I'm going to just reduce the intensity so I can go from a clap to a snap. Yeah, that's a little bit more mellow. That's definitely a little bit more mellow. All right, so this is doing what I need to do. Now, there are some fills. This percussionist will also do some fills, but I'm just going to take those out for right now. I just want a straight pattern, so I'm going to zero that out. And now let's see if I can bring up one of Logic's patches here. I'm going to start with, let's start with a electric piano, okay? And then we'll bring in some of the other AI players, okay? Okay, so right off the bat, let's get rid of the browser just for a second and also get rid of our play surface. So as you can see, I have a browser here on the left-hand side. I'm going to press Y just to collapse that. And I've also got a play surface here down at the bottom of the screen. I'm just going to go ahead and hit P for play surface. That clears that out. And then I've also got my editor open. I don't need that right now because I'm using my keyboard controller. So I was going to press E just to get rid of that. Good. So now I have a clearer workspace to work with. Let's go ahead and hit Enter back there. Now, if I want to see what's actually happening on my track, I can go ahead and see which plugin is loaded. I'm going to go ahead and tap B. All right, so it's got an electric piano loaded. Let's go ahead and bring that up. Good. So we've got a vintage electric piano. Let's see what that sounds like. Good. Now, I don't want to get too complicated for the AI players, but let's see what we can do here. The next thing I want to do is make sure I'm going to be recording this in the key of F or D minor. Let's see. I think I want to plan to do this in the key of F. All right, so let's see what we got. I'm going to go ahead and hit R. Good, so I've got a nice little pattern here. Okay, now let's give Logic the chords that I played into the Roach track. Let's go ahead and give Logic those chords. So taking a look at what I played, this would be an A sus4 chord, voicing that ninth as well. So we're gonna put that chord into Logic. And the way we're gonna do that is up here, it's going to give me the option to bring this down. And here is where you can select your global tracks. So your global tracks include your chord chart, your marker, your time signature, your key signature, your tempo changes. All of that takes place in the global track area, okay? So we're gonna hit plus here because we're starting, even though we're in the key of F, I'm starting on an A9 sus chord. All right, so let's go ahead and change the root note. The root note you want to change because when your bass player comes in, they want to know what note to play in the chord. All right, so it's going to be a root note of A, and it's a sus4. All right, as you can see, the chord is being formed here. I'm going to add the ninth voicing. Good. All right, and the bass note, we can leave that off because the bass player will naturally pick that up, but I don't necessarily want the keyboard player to do that. We don't want too much going on in the left hand of the keyboard player, all right? So we've got our first chord. Now, as you can hear in my arrangement, the next chord comes a little bit quickly. So let's see where it drops. And I'm just gonna expand this. Let's get rid of our inspector. If you're like me, I don't like a lot of clutter. So we're gonna go ahead and get rid of the plugin window. 2 keystrokes and it's gone. I pressed I for inspector, B for plugins, and they're gone. Back to a nice clear space, okay? Don't get anxious. You can just a couple keystrokes and they're gone. All right, so here we go. So let's go ahead and expand this. Good, let's make this nice and big. All right. Okay, so there's a chord change right around here. And you can see right there. So right where my, right where the transport has stopped, I'm actually going to add another chord. Okay? And you can do this right where your measure or your marker has stopped right there. You can go ahead and add. The next chord is going to be a D major 7. And if you're a keyboard player, we all voice them a little differently. I'm going to take this C sharp, put it down here, little music lesson. D major, major 7th, and I'm going to add the 9th as well. Okay, so I'm gonna give Logic that chord. And you may say to yourself, why do we need to do this? Well, you're gonna need to let the band know what you're playing, right? So I'm gonna tap where I see this chord change taking place. I'm gonna hit edit chord, and this will be a D. So we're gonna change this to a D. We're gonna make it a major 7th or major 9th. Good. Good. So we've what we can actually do. Let's take a look at these chord progressions. Let's come out of there and just change. There's another way to do this. You can hit use MIDI input. So you can actually do this by using the MIDI input here. You can actually play the chord without having to use another app to tell you what it is. You can just hit use MIDI input right here, and there it is. This is so cool. So I can actually play the chords in. Okay, and here's the next chord. I'm gonna pause. And I'm going to use the MIDI input again. Okay, there that's reading a C sus4 chord. I'm voicing all the way out to the 13th. Okay, all right, very good. And of course, I'm using some complex combinations here in my left hand. I like to cluster in my left hand, and that's where you get that chord. Sounds kind of nice and full. If I was to give a more skeleton version of that, it would be. Okay, good. It'd be like a F11 with C in the bass, or a C sus4, adding that 9th in there. But if I cluster it up, add this all the way up to the 13th, that's what that sounds like. All right, so let's see how closely Logic plays with all of this. All right, so we've got. And then we're gonna do the same thing again. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and set this up to repeat, and then we're going to add our AI players and see how well they play along, and see if we can create a nice little groove here, okay? Okay, let's make sure everything is quantized nicely, and we're gonna check our chart and watch it play back, and then we're gonna add some instruments. All right, so now let's go ahead and add a session player. Let's see what happens when I add a bass player. Let's go ahead and add a bass player. All right, so I'm gonna hit plus to add a track, go to session player. Let's go ahead and add that bass player and see what happens. I'm excited, Joe. I'm excited. See what's gonna do. Okay, so looks like we got a pop songwriter bass. All right, now this window, I'm gonna go ahead and expand this, seeing as I don't really need to access my chord editor that much. I'm just go ahead and drop this into single mode. Okay, here we go. All right, so what I'm looking at here is the editor window for all of the parameters for my AI instrument. So I'm just gonna go ahead and solo this just to see what this will sound like. And I'm also gonna solo my audio track so you can hear me. All right, so this is already giving me a very rock kind of vibe. Let's see if I can make this player just a little bit more soulful. Let's see if I can play with some parameters here. All right, so it's listening to my chord chart and just playing along. So I've got some parameters here for playing only the root, where it's just going to play the bass notes that I've outlined in my chart. But let's see if I can get it to play a little bit more soulful. I'm going to go ahead and just go for it. Tell it to play the most notes, okay? I'm going to bring the intensity down, but I'm going to bring the complexity up. All right, let's see what happens here. Okay, good. So it's starting to mess around with some more parameters. Now it's doing it on a 8th note basis. I'm gonna add some swing to this, but I don't want it to swing in 8. I want it to swing in 16. And then I want to add some fills. In gospel and soul, sometimes we want the bass player to have some love. To be able to move around some. So I'm going to adjust the phrasing to be short instead of medium. So I want him to kind of bounce around a little bit. Let's see what he does. Okay, so now Let's see if I can adjust the low notes. So now, because it's soul or gospel, I may want a 5-string. I may want him to hit a low D. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this back so that the B would be the lower string on a 5-string bass. All right, so let's listen to what he does. Yeah. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere. I'm not sure I want a pop bass player. I want something a little bit more modern R&B. Okay, let's make it just a little bit more black. Can I just say it? Can we just get the elephant out the room? Let's make it a little bit more black. All right, let's see what we've got here. Okay, I wasn't ready for the bass chord. I wasn't ready. You guys are getting a real-time reaction to this. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to add the swing back in. And there's a way to change this, to save the settings so that as you are changing bass players, you can save the settings. So I should have done that. I should have checked this off to lock some settings in as far as the swing, stuff like that. I can lock that in. So if I change it to a different bass player, if I want to go upright or whatever, the swing will stay in place. But I was not expecting that chord. Let's listen. Okay. All right. So now there's a few other things I want to mess with. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the plugins on this track. So let's go ahead and listen to what's happening with the actual plugin itself. Remember, this is software generated bass sound. So I'm going to go ahead and open up our studio bass. And as I thought, this was a classic bass here. Now I have different styles that I can pull up. I can pull up a finger style, a pick style for this bass, or a slap. Now here's something cool just about the UI that I'm seeing on the screen. Notice my edit screen is still up, so I can adjust what the bass player plays, how intense he plays. I'm assuming it's a he, forgive me. There are some amazing female bass players out there, but let's just say it's a brother on the bass. And I can adjust how complex he plays and also the sound of his bass. Okay. So there are some really cool parameters that the UI is just giving me intuitively, as I want to look at it. And I just want to compliment on that. And of course, if I need more room, let's get the inspector out the way. Some of you just breathed a sigh of relief as we got a few more inches on the screen. Okay, so let's go ahead and listen to this. And I'm going to change the bass. Let's go with something a little bit more modern. Okay, so we're going to change it to a modern bass. Let's see what happens when the bass is in a fingering style. Now we're getting there. Ooh. So there are fret noises as the bass player would simulate that and moving across the frets to access the different notes and movement patterns that are being played. This is nice. This is nice. Now I'm starting to feel like a bass player is actually here taking cues from me and playing along with the song. Now, some of you are like, that bass is a little bit too complex. All right, let's bring it back just a little bit. Let's see what happens. I was not expecting that little slide. Now, let's go ahead and just mute this out just a little bit. His playing is a little bit too open. I definitely want him to groove, okay? And we can also play with some more parameters as we get a little further into this, but I kind of like the sound of this bass. The modern bass with the fret noise, that is nice. There's some more details that you can open up on the right-hand side here. When you hit details, you can change the release note on the strings, the hum and the hiss, the natural hum and hiss, or quasi-natural hum and hiss, the string noise, the portamento. This is really, really nice. These instruments are also playable with a MIDI input. You simply just need to load a software track and select Studio Instruments as your plugin. And then under that menu, select the bass player. You have access to all of these basses as well. Pretty impressed so far, okay? This is good. So let's see what happens when I add some piano on this. But I want to have an AI piano. Let's see what happens if we can do that. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and add our piano player. So I'm going to go back here, hit plus. Let's add a keyboard player. All right, piano player is ready to go. Now, as a piano player, one of the things that matters to me is hand position. And you'll see right here on the screen, you've got two little hands. You can choose to have the piano player play the left hand only or the right hand, and how closely their hands are together. What do you mean how close they are together? This is really pointing to the inversions that they would play. So it could be a or there are different inversions you could play. And it can get wider and wider. So let's see, and that's just me playing it. So let's see what the AI comes up with, okay? Whoa. Okay, we have the makings of a little track here. Let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and add that swing in there. Wow. I liked the fills it was doing there. It followed my chords perfectly. Of course it did follow the chart. Any session musician follows the chart. Now I can add some fills, the complexity of the fills. It's doing the full chord, not just a standard version. And if I want to, and I wanted to repeat this section, I can also have the AI player change its hand position so that it's up here. I am curious to what can happen here, but you can change the hand position to do whatever you would like. Okay. Wow. As a keyboard player, I'm impressed. Now it's doing some grace notes. It's also hesitating a little bit and putting a little bit of retardation on it. This is interesting. Now, I'm gonna make some tweaks here. So I do wanna mellow this out a little bit. This piano player has some nice voicings, but I wanna mellow it out. So I'm gonna do a few things. Let's go ahead and bring up the sound it's playing. So I'm gonna hit plugins. Good, so I've got the studio piano here loaded first. And this is the Studio Grand 1 mic. Now, one of the latest additions was a nice vintage upright, which I really like the sound of here. So let's go ahead and listen to what that sounds like with the upright on it. Okay, as you can see, this style is set to simple. I kind of like it, but I'm going to bring the intensity down so they could play a little bit more softly, okay? Nice. Now, you may, as you're adding your instruments, you may want to adjust some of the levels, not just the intensity or the velocity, but you may want to adjust the levels. So I just want to show you just a quick trick using the keyboard cover here from Editor's Keys. While it's playing, just go ahead and hit X. Okay, so this is our mixer view. From here, we can make changes. Let's go ahead and do something with that vintage electric piano. You can select it here. You don't have to go back to the plugin window. You can select it right here. And let's do some editing, and you can also resize this window just to get access to some more variables here, some more effects here. So I'm going to remove this tremolo sync. Let's see if we can add a little washing or panning back and forth on these rows. Let me just solo this for a moment. Yeah, I want these to pan nicely. Right now it's kind of syncing with the beat. Okay, let's add some chorus. Oh, that's nice and warm. Okay, let's listen to everything. Hey, we're getting somewhere. Okay, these AI musicians, I can book them all night. All right, they're going to play whatever I tell them to play, the way I tell them to play, and we can cut tracks all night. That's what I like. And I only have to pay them a Logic subscription fee for the year or for the month. Not bad. I see how Apple is adding a value to this. If you think of your subscription as a value of having access to AI musicians to help you create on the fly. Now, you may not necessarily know how to pull chords out of your head. You may not say, oh, okay, I want to put an A sus here and a D major 7 here. You may not know what that's going to sound like. I do. You may not know that right off the bat. But there are chord generating MIDI files, chord progression generating software out there that you can use, and you can just plug the chords in here. And you can plug the chords right into the arranger, and the AI will follow it. And then if you had a solo instrumentalist who knows how to work the nuance of these chords and solo on top of it and really make something beautiful, it could be a quick way to pull a session together, and it'd be kudos to you for knowing how to use your equipment or knowing how to use this app. All right, so we've got our roads that I laid, the bass, which is AI, the piano, which is AI, the percussion, which is AI. Let's go ahead and add a drummer. Why not? So I'm going to go ahead and hit plus. Okay, so we hit plus, and now we're going to go into our session player. Let's add a drummer. And this time I'm going to tell the drummer to follow the bass player because I kind of like what the bass player is doing. Okay, so here we have a pop rock drummer. I'm going to change that immediately. We want this to sound a little bit more. Did I say the word black? Yeah, I did. So we want it to sound a little bit more funky, a little bit more rootsy, maybe. Let's see what we got. So let's go to modern R&B and see what happens here. Much better. Okay, I think we've got our drummer. I think we found our session drummer. We had to call a few of them in and let them audition. This is a great way to audition, or even if you are arranging for real musicians to come in, you can put this together and give them an idea of the feel you're looking for. So then you can go ahead and record the actual musicians who have a direction, a feel for what you want, and they have a chart to play to. Hey, this is a win-win. So you can either use this to create the final arrangement, or you can use this to teach the arrangement. You can use this to come up with as a songwriting tool. Perhaps you don't intend to use any of these tracks, but you want to be able to songwrite to it and then develop your ideas from there. This is great. So let's mess with some parameters on the drum, shall we? Okay, so I've go ahead and brought up the plugin window. I can hit the drum kit designer. Okay, let's say you want to bring down the volume of the snare or the rim shot. I'm going to hit and drop that down. And I want my kick to come up a little bit more. Now I'm also going to bring my snare tune down just a little bit so we can darken that up. Not bad at all, not bad at all. Now, some of these AI musicians, they may feel as if they're ahead of the groove or behind. You can adjust that. You can increase dynamics so that not everything feels so static. It can add some nuance, some ebbs, some flows. You can humanize it to give it a little bit more of a loose feel, or you can make it really tight with a tighter quantized feel. There's just, I'm not going to say limitless, but there's a broad range of things that you can do here. Okay. Everything's got its limits, even AI. But you can dial in a nice feel here and really feel comfortable coming up with something feasible. This is the beginnings of a song. I've got a whole section here, and this is just 8 bars, and I'm already liking what I'm getting from the software. So guys, this is a great opportunity to jump in, do some songwriting. You've got a number of arrange tools right here in the arrange window. And then as you get deeper, you can go ahead and open up the mix window, start to adjust your parameters there, bring in some third-party plugins, and go ahead and have just an amazing time working on your song. So what do you think of the AI players? What do you think of this capability? Would you use this as a beat maker, songwriter, producer? There are different classifications here, but the software lets you do all of it. And whether you want to just come up with a few bars of music for a podcast, you've got AI players that can do that here, and you can bounce that out, use that as an intro for your podcast. You didn't have to hire someone to produce a track for you. You can, with a few inputs here and there, you can get some nice chord arrangement suggestions here, and work with that and come up with something nice. Okay. So this is Logic. Logic for the iPad, and this is the next version. They've added some things, not the stuff that we asked for, but some things that they thought would be a great idea. So what do you think? Is it a great idea? Put something in the comments, and let's keep the conversation rolling here as we continue to discover some other features that are here in Logic Pro for the iPad Pro. All right, take care. I'm going to be back with another video. We're going to review some other aspects of this. Let's talk about whether or not you need to upgrade at all. Some other features that are available in here. I'm looking forward to digging into them with you. All right, God bless. See you real soon. And if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and hit the notification bell so you can get more videos. I know it's been a minute, but we're back at it. And I'm hopeful that you will get some great value out of it. See you soon. Take care.
Zabali ba